Leader for Peace in the Three Americas. Hello, my name is Antônio Roberto Vinhe, and I'm political scientist. I graduated in the first class of Brazil National Bachelor's recognized by Ministry of Education and Culture of my country. I'm a social activist that fight corruption causes. I has elected delegate in the first Consortium National Council to combat corruption in Porto Alegre state of Rio Grande do Sul, on the internet and in Brazil, and finally in Brasilia. We removed 8 national proposals to combat corruption that were never put into practice, which is a project of the first government of President Dilma Vana Rousseff in her first term. I'm awarded with the official title of Community Leader of the City of Porto Alegre by City of Porto Alegre. I come here on behalf of the Brazilian people, the Brazilian nation, cry out for peace on every continent of the Americas, South, Central and North, extensive to United Nations and European Community Union. Brazil is experiencing today an undeniable political and serious risk to national civil rights crisis, threatened by populist presidents like Nicolás Maduro of Venezuela and Evo Morales of Bolívia. We fear also the adhesion of Russia and China in this group, and also of some countries of Africa, Cuba and North Korea, generating the political scenario of the Third World War. We erase the Brazilian people is a peaceful and happy people, a legalist and democratic people. We are governed by a constitutional leader with clear and objective rules, with positivist laws established in 1988. We respective social differences. Skin color, we are mixed race people created by different cultures, beliefs, race, and the fruit from several people around the world, which are always received with open arms. Our current President, Ms. Dilma Vana Rousseff, has been the subject of serious investigations on behalf of several impeachment offenses provided for in Article 85 of or federal constitution in the forms of national laws. The President of Honor of the Workers' Party, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, former President of the Republic, is also investigated for crimes of corruption in our country. In order to escape such cases, but Lula and Dilma are urging civil violence in collaboration with trade union movement as the movement of landless workers MST, homeless workers movement MTST, and Central Workers Union CUT. We suspect in the evidence that there is training of armed militias of the FARC in our country as well as foreign military, as refugees in our country as well. There were over 4 consecutive governments of the same political party in power and ideological rigging of state who promote corruptions of our institutions and squandered the national public assets, weakening our domestic economy. Our people are being censored and threatened by virtual environment militants MIV and real environments militants MIR every day with inversion of moral values, insults, slanders, libels, and even physical attacks, reaching in some cases in even deaths such as fire or burning to intimidate and silence by fear. I myself am subject to those threats for defending the law and combating corruption in my national videos. To defend the national armed force, the public ministry and the federal police and your constitution. Our press is censored under duress laws of state-owned companies, sponsorships such as Banco do Brasil, Petrobras, the Post Office and Ministry of the Government. Since private companies have no capital investment due to the market crisis. Besides this, in Brazil, radio, TV, telephone and internet are government grants and might be revoked at any time if there is interest. We pray to the Americas not to be kept facing the squeeze of the Brazilian people, to say no populist and dictatorial, socialist and communist onslaught neo-nazists, a Latin version of Nazism in Brazil, whereas Germany of Adolf Hitler. This came to power in a legal and legitimate way, but he never admitted out, and which only came out after playing people against people and destroying that national and many others in major world war. You don't want to be the venue to the tears great old war. We therefore ask the American brothers to unite against national endemic corruption in Brazil promoted by Dilma and Lula and its international partners, Evo and Maduro, for the prompt restoration of democracy in Latin America. We are in process of impeachment of the president. Once the impeachment is completed, the movements that support her, the president, who are around 15% of the national population, only with a rejection of approximately 70%, dared to promote a civil war with foreign invasion support, backing up our national sovereignty in favor of the great national Pátria Grande in the Foro of São Paulo. For this, they have already convoked UNESUR and BRICS for international support. Thus, the real risk as existing scenario today is that once democracy in Brazil fall by party Nazi co-workers and the Fórum of São Paulo, the next step into attack the outer Latin nations in this process by removing their national sovereignty, because the goals is the Pátria Grande and then the conquest of all the Americas, and after that the conquer the world. I call it looks like a big conspiracy theory, even exaggeration, but the fact is that this is in progress right now, and even if the speak say it is not so, the practice shows exactly the opposite. The Daniel only serve to deceive us. They are not reliable people, and to not have to word or honor. To oppose our legal arguments, they accuse us of political opponents. I assure you that it is not the case. Our struggle is for democracy against national corruptions. Just that. We are not interested in defending a party or any opposition. We just want to fight corruption in our country. In the face of this fact, we don't international alert to all to prepare for the works to help us to defend ourselves from this common enemy in case of need, because the next step might be against you. In begin, Brazil, a continental country, alongside the BRICS and other countries who are still trying to get rid of their dictatorships, such as Venezuela and Bolivia, and if they are reinforced by a new dictatorships in Brazil, this can be a difficult environment to combat or prevent if nothing is done. With money from the corruptions of Petrobras and BNDES, international organized crime has been falling, include the movement of the Islamic State in Palestine, the lost funds. As a professional in my area, I assure you there is no political call in Brasilia against President Dilma Rousseff. There is a call against the national democracy and recreation for social peace, against the threats of civil war incited by governments itself. In the year 2005 to 30 of the Brazilian people said no to disarmament in a national referendum to keep or delete the statute of the national disarmament still. To this day, the people of Brazil in disarmament by government maneuvers. In 1990, and their great majority of the Brazilian people also decided by Republican and presidential system of government. However, currently, the Brazilian National Congress articulates the possibility of making by decree Brazil as parliamentary country. At the same time, Lula would be appointed chief of state with special jurisdiction to escape justice, investigation for corruption, and in the future will because Prime Minister of Brazil, becoming head of government, while Dilma would be head of state. We still have a judiciary where our 11 justice ministers of the Supreme Court, 5 were appointed by Dilma and thereby Lula, the four governments, terms of the party or workers. We are not pushing civil war, violence, or foreign invasion in our country. We only warn all the people. The blame is not the Brazilian people against their government. It is government against the Brazilian people. Where is the proof? If you cherish world peace and your country preserve peace in Brazil, do you party defend the Americas and international democracy? Remember, courage is not having the absence of the fear, but knowing to face it before the imminent danger. On behalf of the Brazilian people, I appreciate the attention. Porto Alegre, Rio Grande do Sul, Brasil, April 10 of 2016.